the Western Sea of Korea, a new history to change the map of Korea Peninsula has begun. Saemangeum, Thailand reclamation project has overcome unprecedented difficulties in reclamation history of the world, succeeding in constructing a 33-kilometer-long sea dike, which is the longest in the world. This is another legend of the Korea Rural Community and Agriculture Corporation. With environmental-friendly reclamation of the nature and humans, preservation and development can coexist. Saemangeum Thailand Reclamation Project is opening up a new era of affluence and prosperity. The global food crisis in the early 70s had a big impact, especially in Korea, a small country with a high population density. Korea Rural Community and Agriculture Corporation looked to the sea to secure water resources and agricultural land for stable self-supply of food. The Saemangeum was chosen for reclamation for its rise coast, which has many indentations. This region that connects Busan and Gunsan was made to be turned into fertile land. According to preparatory survey, the Saemangeum tidal range varies from 2.2 meters at neap tide to 6.2 in spring tide. Sea bottom has relatively soft layers made of silty sand from 17 to 27 meters below ground level, then weathered rock underneath. However, the tidal current was 1 meter per second before the construction, but by the final stages the velocity would be 7 meters per second. Maximum water depth would be 54 meters and daily tide volume would be 7.2 billion cubic meter, forecasting a difficult construction ahead. Despite the tough conditions, KRC conducted studies on feasibility and environmental impacts and finally presented the blueprints of Saemangeum Thailand Reclamation Project. A 33-meter-long sea dike, which is the longest in the world. New land of 40,100 hectares and water resources of 1 billion cubic meter per year. The plan for Saemangeum Thailand Reclamation Project was more than enough to surprise the world. Undeterred by others' concerns, KRC embarked on this new challenge based on the technology and experience of sea dike in Namyang, Asan, Sapgyo, Shiwa, and Hwaong for more than 30 years. The plan was to complete the outer structures by 2008, including the 33-kilometer sea dike and 2 sluice gates, and to start to develop inside of the dike from 2009, which consists of creating agricultural land and other various environment-friendly spaces. In November 1991, the Saemangeum Thailand Reclamation Project began. Dike number 1 was begun construction in Daehangri, Busan-gun, and the dike number 2, 3, and 4 were started in 1992. This was the beginning of the grand construction that would form the 33-kilometer of sea dike. The construction of the sea dike was divided into 7 stages. The first stage was mat installation and bottom projection. This is an important process which protects the soft foundation from the currents and needed careful attention. To prevent erosion of the foundation, a mattress made on land was installed in the exact spot using a boat. On top of the mattress, bottom protection layer of 2 to 5 meters was built with gabions and rocks. On top of this protected foundation, the primary section of the sea dike was built to block the seawater, and then reinforcement work was carried out to prevent erosion. For efficient and effective evacuation of the process, it was erected on land using a dump, and barge ships drop materials precisely into place. To minimize damages from surge and wave attack, the seaside of the Saemangeum sea dike is protected by armoring rocks, and inside was filled with sea sand to reduce construction costs and maximize stability of the dike. The amount of fill material for construction of the sea dike is equivalent to 14,300,000 15-ton trucks. Most of the fill material was extracted from the sea to minimize environmental impacts. After 14 years from beginning in 1991, saemangeum Sea Dike has been completed, except for 2.7 kilometer section of final closing. Due to the nature of land reclamation, final closing process can only be done after diverting the seawater to sluice gates. For this reason, construction of sluice gates began before closing the sea dike. Sinsi Sluice Gate and Gayok Sluice Gate at the saemangeum Sea Dike are the biggest ones among the same type in Korea, each equipped with 20 and 16 gates respectively. One gate of the sluice is 30 meters in width and 50 meters in height, and allows 400-ton ships to freely pass by. The gate operation facility was installed at the bridge for obtaining beautiful scenery. It is becoming renowned as a new type of sluice gates with modern central control systems. When the construction is complete, the two sluice gates will reserve fresh water for the reclaimed land and farmlands to protect the land from flood. In particular, the fishway was equipped with a fish decoy to maximize free movement of the fish. A drainage facility for low layer was built to prevent the contamination of the freshwater lake and to minimize the impact on ecology. The final step to closing the saemangeum Sea Dike was a very difficult task because we had to deal with 7.2 billion cubic meter of seawater daily and 54 meters of maximum water depth and 7 MPS of velocity. In addition, the two gaps had to be closed off at the same time with only a month. Considering conditions of weather and sea, it was decided that the works would take place in March and April because there is less rainfall, less tidal difference, and wind leads. According to each section characteristics, the gaps were divided into Gap 1 section, 1.6 kilometers, and Gap 2 section, 1.1 kilometers. In particular, constant research was conducted to overcome over 7 MPS velocity and found out that gabions have the resistance velocity 3 times more than other rocks. Finally, it was decided that a new method would be employed. Using combination of gabions and rocks will depend on velocity. The materials for the final step was 140,000 15-ton truckloads of large rocks and 270,000 3-ton gabions. KRC had stored all this material nearby the site at a month prior to construction. 321 pieces of heavy machinery was secured for the process, including 35-ton dump trucks and 2,000-ton large barge ships. However, there was constant pressure up until the beginning of the construction. The foundation of the gaps was fine sand, which meant even the slightest delay of construction might wash away the foundation in the fast velocity. Engineers waited for the beginning time of construction while checking the conditions of the open section. Finally, on 17 March 2006, the final closure of the saemangeum Sea Dike began. Considering the tidal velocity, this process was divided into preparation stage of closing 550 meters stage 1, of closing 320 meters stage 2, of closing 1010 meter, and the final stage of closing 820 meter. To better deal with the seawater, every second has changed. KRC enlisted the help of a global positioning system, an acoustic Doppler current profiler, to measure the tide and velocity of the gap and change the foundation. Based on these data, the construction plan was checked and revised daily. These data allowed comparison with estimated figures, re-evaluation of rock size, and ultimately minimize the risk of erosion. It was a valuable resource and successful completion of the final closure. Also, by accumulating data on velocity, KRC secured a unique technology in construction of sea dikes. Construction was continued without a break, taking a step forward in spring tide and repeating protecting works in neap tide. In the construction site, new history was made. A chain of large trucks transported materials. On the sea, barge ships were fighting against wild waves to drop gabions and rocks into the sea. All the engineers at KRC, including President An Jong-woon, put in all of their best efforts for successful completion. As the gap got narrower, velocity increased more and more. This moment would not allow a single error or mistake. According to change of velocity, rocks and gabions were dropped into the sea every 15 to 30 seconds. 36 days of hard work by 200 engineers, working round the clock in 2 shifts, 12 hours a day. Finally, on 21 April 2006, the 33-kilometer saemangeum sea dike, the longest man-made dike in the world, was completed after 14 years and 5 months from the beginning. It was quite surprising that not a single casualty existed from the hard work of fighting against harsh sea. Saemangeum Sea Dike was a success story of KRC's modern technology, spirit for challenge, and perfect preparatory work. Repeated checking and verification procedures through hydraulic model study and every possible research activities for the final closure, precise survey of scoured seabed, and quick response of additional protection to it. Several decade accumulated experiences of KRC with new technology made it possible through success. The successful completion of a worldly task, Saemangeum Sea Dike signaled a new era of Korea. National territory was expanded by 40,100 hectares in the southwest, securing 1 billion cubic meter of water resources and resolving the inundation problems of 12,000 hectares of nearby low-lying farmland. By straightening the indented coast, the distance between Gunsan and Buan was shortened by 66 kilometers, and regional development and outcome from tourism was anticipated around the sea dike and freshwater lake. Saemangeum was developed as an environmental-friendly reclamation project and presented solution to the environment issue by previous reclamation projects. Integrated plans were established on a government level to ensure the water quality of Lake Saemangeum, and a committee was formed to execute, inspect, and evaluate the plans. The inside development will prioritize the environment and will take place until 2011. As part of this effort, Saemangeum Sea Dike will be covered with green grass instead of gray concrete, equipped with a lookout tower and various cultural facilities in order to become a world-class tourist attraction. The Saemangeum reclaimed land will have environmentally friendly farmlands, modern floricultural complexes, ecological parks, and nature learning fields to open up a new era of Saemangeum. Saemangeum is a land of cultivation which realized the age-old hopes of expanding our territory. Saemangeum is a land of hope for humans and nature, a land of infinite possibilities. Beginning with the beautiful and affluent future of Saemangeum, Korea Rural Community and Agricultural Corporation is going into the world.